Isn't it great how much you can accomplish?
Incredible.
You know, when all the things are right.
Right, when you feel supportive. You know, and we recently had a bar mitzvah where it started out, it felt like chaos. You know, the photographer had taken over, the chairs were all over the place, the people were running around. Once the service started, he made it magic. And everyone came together. And when it was over, and we hear this after every bar mitzvah, someone will always come up to him and say, Rabbi, I've been to hundreds of bar mitzvahs. I've been going to services all my life. I have never experienced a service like this. I've never felt so warm. I've never felt so connected. I love you. I love the music. And it's so wonderful. And it happens every single week. So I never take it for granted, but it's because of Rabbi John Haddon.
That's Sheret Israel. Sheret Israel.
On Peaceable Street, which
what a great name.
Lets you know, I think that was Besheret.
So let's talk a little bit about how you evolved into your own role as a cantor, a woman cantor, at a time when there really weren't any women cantors hardly. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's true. Well, when I was in college, I told you I was interested in the coffee house circuit. That was my thing. I loved the blues and the folk and all that. And thanks to Rabbi Joseph Pollack, who I adore, who actually just asked me to come back to BU Hillel and do a concert, which should be so exciting.
That was the Hillel house on campus.
And he's made it blossom into something amazing. They have a brand new building. They offer an incredible array of services and programs there. And he's been there all this time. But anyway, when I was 19, he heard me do a coffee house, and he could hear some cantorial roots in this blues and folk that I was putting out there. And he said, you know, how about leading our high holiday services? And I thought, wow, you know, I've been doing the Kiddush on Friday night for my dad. You know, I had my finger in page 28 in the conservative Silverman prayer book all my life. And wow, to do a whole service? Well, let's see. So I would meet in his office, and he started teaching me the high holiday nusach, and I realized through osmosis, I knew it. I knew much more than I thought. I had heard my father and mother practicing all my life, and I realized that I knew a lot of this stuff, and it was beautiful.
That page 28 led to a lot of pages.
It did. It led to the whole thing. So I led the BU Conservative High Holiday Services, and this was in 1976. It was the first time a woman led a traditional service in the city of Boston, and probably
the first time. Wow.
The first time. It was in the Boston Globe. And after that, I realized, you know, the sense that I got singing for 2,000 people, and singing Kol Nidre that my grandfather wrote, and singing this incredible music, there was nothing that could compare to it.
Can you give us one little...
Bye-bye, coffee house. Forget it. I felt like this is where I belonged. People would say, oh, your grandfather wrote Jewish music. And I'd say, yeah, did you ever hear this? Kol Nidre. Yeah, I've heard of that. Well, my grandfather wrote it. Well, you sure he wrote a Kol Nidre, and they all start like that. So that was really funny. I thought he wrote all of Jewish music when I was very young. Then I realized he just wrote a lot of Jewish music. But yeah.
He was like, to the cantorial art, he was like Brahms or a Mozart or Beethoven.
Yeah, he really codified American cantorial music. He took a very elaborate European way of chanting and the more stark American, and really blended it and made it beautiful and brought meaning to the prayers, because he would write music that made sense with the text. What we can find today in some composers is no connection with the text and no connection with nusach. So, but he was able to put it all together. Connection with nusach, the proper mode for the holiday, the proper intent of the prayer. You know, if it's something that's supposed to be elevated, it literally would go up. If it was something that was hushed, like in this Hashkivenu, there was something about the Haser Satan, you know, and worrying about an evil spirit. And it's supposed to be done hushed, Satan. I don't know, you know.
Tigar Satan, you know, to rebuke the Satan.
Do people know how to write like that?
Yes.
It's really an art.
It takes a sensitivity.
Yeah, it takes a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. I always love when you have the Unetana Tokef and you have, you know, Uva Shofar, Gadol, and it talks about the shofar, and the cantors would, you know, make their voice
sound
shrill
like a
shofar.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, really act it out.
Right. And when you sing Gadol, it should be Gadol. Should be, you know, So
Gadol, big. It should be big.
Right.
If it's soft, it should be soft.
right.
All these kinds of things.
Right. Sweet, hushed, awesome, holy.
Wonderful. So you did the high holidays there in Boston University, and then what happened?
And that was it. I mean, I got an offer for a job, 3 weekends a month, and then the fourth weekend, I really was a workhorse. I worked every single weekend. I would go to a small conservative synagogue that maybe couldn't afford a full-time cantor, and I would just do a service once a month in some of the older communities, and I loved doing that. So I was with the Reform Synagogue 3 weekends a month, and 1 weekend a month, always with a conservative synagogue. And it all started with that service because people from the community came and, oh, who is this woman cantor? Oh. And just word got around, and I got an agent. I'll never forget, Mary Wolfman kept me very busy doing the Hadassah luncheon circuit, B'nai B'rith, Jewish war veterans. It was a whole way of life. So when people say, wow, Boston, that was a real party place, right? Parties?
Not for you.
Not for me. I was doing the Hadassah luncheons in synagogues.
Good
but
for
I
you.
loved it.
Good for
I
you.
think I went into a bar twice in 4 years. It
Fabulous.
just wasn't my world. This is my world.
And you were one of the first conservative women cantors.
Yeah, I was actually the second full-time conservative cantor. The first was Elaine Shapiro.
Okay.
She's in West Palm Beach. Was in West Palm Beach. She lives in Boca now, but she was in a synagogue in West Palm Beach at the time, and she was the first woman with a full-time normal job with a contract. I'm
Yes.
sure there were people that sang here and there, maybe part-time, a little bit this and that, but she had an actual position as a full-time cantor, and I was the second one in the country with a legitimate position.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, kind of a cute story. Rabbi Jonas Goldberg, who is my dear, dear friend, was the rabbi in Norwalk at Congregation Bethel, and they had been looking for a cantor. And I walked in with my father because we had heard about this job, and I said to the rabbi, I said, I hear you're looking for a cantor. I said, would you consider a woman? I mean, obviously, I know he would consider me because I would have walked in with my dad, but I was really curious. It was a conservative synagogue. And he said, to tell you the truth, we've auditioned 18 men. At this point, we'd listen to a monkey. So I said, okay, so, and then I sang and I got the job, and it was just wonderful. But he really took a chance.
Wow.
He really took a chance.
Now, you have many CDs out. I really love your voice.
Thank you.
Besides having, a lot of coming from the family of cantors, you yourself are a very fine cantor yourself, an artist. So I thought maybe we would go to your CD, Sacred Spirit, and I'd like to hear meditation. So I think they're going to roll it in on the inside, and we're going to enjoy this.
Thank you.
Session